morning, everybody. It's Mr. Mulvihill here. I hope you guys are doing well, and I can't wait to see you for our meeting on Wednesdays, our mandatory meeting. Here's the notes video for assignment 12. It's finding domain and range from a graph. So let's just look at number 1 to review before we get to the graph. The domain of a graph, the domain is always all the x numbers. So in this table here, the x numbers are -3, -2, and 4. So that's our domain. Our range are all of the y numbers. So that's 3 and 5. We don't have to write the 5 twice, because that's just already included. And remember that we also write numbers from smallest to largest when we write domain and range. Alright, now we got the graph part. We've kind of actually already done this though. It says look at the graph to the right for number 2. Domain and range. Well, how are we going to find the domain and range of this graph? Well, it might be helpful if we knew what the points were. So this point right here is 1, 6. This is 3, 7. And then this is 6, 8. So now that we have some points here, it's going to be much easier to write the domain, because the domain, as we know, are all the x numbers. So our domain will be 1, 3, 6. Put these squiggly brackets around it. And then our range will be 6, 7, and 8. Those are all of our y numbers. Alright, number 3 here, this is where stuff gets new. What do you notice? What's new about this graph? Think about that. Well, in this graph, you should notice, hey, there's a line. There's not just 3 points, there's a whole line. So there's a point right here, there's 1, 6. There's a point here, 6, 8. But then there's a line in between it. But a line is really just a collection of points. Like, there's another point right there. And that's actually the same point as we had above. Look at these two graphs. Don't they have the same numbers? The same points? They do. These 3 are the same. However, the one on the bottom has much more points. There's a point there, there's there. And actually, you could just do this forever and ever. Lines have infinite points. So there's going to have to be another way how we find the domain and range here. So to do that, to find all of the x points, right, the domain, all of the x points, we're going to use this table to the right. So to do it, let's just do it. What is the smallest x coordinate? So what is the leftmost point on the graph? Well, if I look at this graph here, here's my most left point. And if I go down and see what x it is, because it's the leftmost, it's going to be 1. And now, what's the largest x coordinate? So to find the largest x coordinate, just look for the most right point on your graph. The most right point is right here. So that right there is an x value of 5. And once you have your x values here, you can write your domain. Because your domain are all the x values. So it's from 1, comma, which means 2. So 1 to 5. Because there's a bunch of points in between 1 and 5. We're going to write these little hard brackets here, and that tells the reader that there are infinite amount of points between 1 and 5. 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.22, 1.25, all up to 5. Alright, now let's find the y values, the range, and to do that we're going to use this table again. So what is the smallest y coordinate? What is the smallest y point that you see on your graph? Well, for me it's right there. It's at the very bottom of this line. Very bottom. And what y value is that? That's 6. And then if you go to the top, the furthest up point is right there, and that's 8. So the range is from 6 to 8. Put some hard brackets, and you're good to go. And then is that a function? Yes, it passes the vertical line test. Alright, I'll do one more with you guys. Actually, you guys pause the video. Actually, no. Yeah, you guys pause the video and try this one, and then see if you get the right answer. Okay, so for the leftmost x point, you should be, it's right here, right? And that's an x coordinate of -5. the rightmost is right there. That's 3. The smallest y value should be -3, and then the tallest y value should be 4. So the range is going to be -3 to 4, and the domain is going to be -5 to 3. And then yes, it is a function. These are the x values you use for your domain. These are the y values you use for your range. Okay, number 3 here and number 4. Give that a shot and I'll give you guys the answers. Okay, so here the leftmost point is going to be -7. The rightmost is going to be 0. So the domain is -7 to 0. And then the range, the furthest down point, is going to be -10. This graph wasn't great, but it is -10. And then our furthest up point is right here. What y value is that? We're talking y coordinates. That's -1. So our range is -10 to -1. And then yes, it is a function. And the final one here, the smallest x coordinate, so you look for the leftmost point. That is right here, -5. Then you look to the furthest right on your graph. Where's the furthest right that you see? Well, it's this point. That's 10. So our domain will be -5 and everything in between, all the way to 10. And then our range is the smallest point, this lowest point on our graph. So I see that being right there. That is 2. So we go 2, and then all the way up to here, which is 10. It is a function, 2 to 10. And that is all I got for you. So give that assignment a shot, and then if you need any help, just let me know. All right, have a great rest of your day, guys. Take care.